Hey y'all, it's Kelly from Dixie, Darlins, Tumblers, and I said a few weeks ago that I was having a real hard time getting away from the beach theme. And in my mind that includes summertime, which includes watermelons, and I had seen all these great watermelon tumblers floating around, so I figured it was my turn to give it a shot. And I'm actually going to do the watermelon design on a 12-ounce skinny can Kewlzie from Steel Magnolia. I thought I haven't seen a lot of the Kewlzies out there turned into a watermelon, so let me try this. So I'm actually going to start with a patterned vinyl that looks like the shades of a watermelon, and then I'm going to cover up the seed spots with a little glitter, and then I'm going to throw some micas in on top, and then I've got this cute little sweet summertime decal, and then I decided to add a drip on it. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this. I haven't done a lot of drips, so you guys will kind of be learning with the process as I'm working through it. But I had these little citrus fruits that had some watermelons in it that I want to include. So I thought, oh, this would be the perfect opportunity to try them out. So this totally got me in the mood for summertime, and I hope it does y'all. And please tag me in your creations or join my Facebook group and make sure you share what you create. We love to see your designs. I love to see what you guys come up with. And I will link all the products that I use in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. I've got some discount codes included in there for y'all too. So as always, ask any questions on anything that I'm not clear about. I'm here to help you however I can. Thank y'all for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright y'all, today I'm using a 12-ounce skinny can Kewlzie from Steel Magnolia. I'll have it linked in the description box below. They were so cute. These are like for your White Claw or your Truly or for whatever little skinny can you want to hold. And I've chosen the watermelon pattern, and April and I has it available at the Vinyl Cottage online, and it is watermelon 13. So I basically just trimmed this down to fit the size of the Kewlzie. And I cut a little bit of the back off, and then I laid it down, then pulled the rest of the backing off, and went ahead and wrapped it around the cup. You guys have seen me do this. You see me lay the tape down, and then I'm going to continue on around. Then I'm going to trim it with my craft knife, and then I'll have the nice little seam where my tape is that I can run my craft knife down to give me a straight line, and where I have a little bit of overlap in my vinyl. Then I'm just going to run my craft knife right down here on the edge and trim off the excess. And then at this point I'm just going to peel my tape off, and then I'll go and I'll pull it really tight around the top. And then I'm just going to take my craft knife there and also trim off the excess around the top rim. And then once I make sure it's firmly pressed down around the top of the cup, I'm just going to take my craft knife and run it along the edge of the cup and trim off the excess vinyl at the top. And then just because I didn't leave a lot of overlap on the bottom, because I knew I'm going to cover the bottom with I'm just going to cut a circle out of the same vinyl, but I did want to have enough where I could just pull it around the edge here. And I'm just pulling it as tight as I can. You guys can see, you've seen me do this before probably, where I'm just pressing down around the edge of the cup to make sure I don't have any ridges or creases that are right there as the vinyl wraps around the bottom of the cup. And then once I get that all placed down, I'm just going to take my craft knife and run my craft knife around the seam. This one is like the plumps that they have, where there's a nice little seam right there where you can just run your craft knife right through it. It cuts it off really smooth. And then I'm just taking, you can basically take a credit card, your fingernail, whatever you want to take, and just press that down to make sure that it's down in that seam pretty good. And then I'm going to paint the seeds on the vinyl, so I'm just going to go right over the vinyl. I'm not going to epoxy or anything, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Peachy Olive Glitters clear adhesive, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of black acrylic paint in here, just so it has a little color on the background when I put the glitter. So I'm just going to mix that up, and then I'm just going to go in where the spots are already laying on the vinyl, like they're already printed on there. I'm just basically going to take a little paintbrush and I'm going to paint right on top of those. And then I'm going to use Cavier from Peachy Olive Glitter. This is like absolute my hands down favorite black. It has this crazy holographic sparkle in it. I love it. So I wasn't really sure which black I was going to go with here, but I just decided I needed a little holographic sparkle with this one. So I definitely went with Cavier from Peachy Glitters. So I just paint like a handful of spots at a time, and then just go ahead and place the glitter on there and knock it off. And I am going to brush this off when I'm done, so I'm not too worried about any of the black staying on there. Once it dries, I wait about 30 minutes. Once it dries, I'm going to go in with a brush and brush it off. So I'm not too worried right now if there's some black glitter left on the vinyl. And I'm just using a very small angled paintbrush. It doesn't have to be angled. I just, for whatever reason, I tend to be able to do fine details with an angled brush. So I'm just using that, and I'm just covering the whole area that's already black on the vinyl with my clear adhesive. And then once I've got that done, I am going to let it dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm just going to go back in with a little bit stiffer paintbrush and just brush off all the excess here. So it's pretty easy here. The vinyl doesn't really, it's not going to stick to the vinyl. It's pretty easy just to brush it all off here. And then after I've gotten all the excess glitter brushed off, I am going to go in with a layer of Mod Podge clear sealer. Just one coat is all I did, and then I let that dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm moving into my first layer of epoxy. And I did mix up 30 milliliters of Counterculture's Fast Set here. I didn't use all 30 milliliters. It didn't take that much for this smaller Kewlzie. And then any movement you get, I just go in with my glove finger and pick that off. You see there's a couple of stray pieces, and I just pick that off. And then I waited about 2 hours, and I did go into a second coat of Fast Set. So the same amount I only did about 20 milliliters this time, and I'm using my torch to pop any bubbles. So I did 2 coats of epoxy here, and then I let that dry for about 3 hours, and then I brought it outside to do my power wash. So I'm just spraying the Dawn power wash here. I don't really have any kind of angle or reason here. I wanted most of it covered. I only wanted a little bit of it to show through. I definitely did not want this to be an all over effect. And then I'm just taking my green spray paint, and I'm basically just putting it over the red. So, and then I'm going to put it on the bottom because I wasn't really sure at that time that I was going to put vinyl over it. And then I'm just going to rinse it off, and there you can see. So I just kind of sporadically sprayed it on there. I didn't want it all over coverage. I just wanted a little bit. And so after I let that dry for about an hour, I am going to go in and I mix up about 25 milliliters of Counterculture's Artist Resin. And I've actually already put the epoxy on the cup here. I had several you can see I was doing here, and I just didn't record it. I apologize. But I do just put a thin layer on the cup, and then I use my torch to heat any bubbles, and then I let that sit for about 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, because I don't want any movement on this. And now I've mixed up Woody's Goodies, Santa's Beard, and Snowflake. I've just put a barely little scoop in here. I wanted some micas just for the effect of them, not really to do a Milky Way or for there to be any kind of full coverage. And I'm just going to take my little silicone tool here that has a little pointed tip, and I'm just basically going to drag the epoxy with the micas in it over my cup. So you can see I'm not really getting a lot of movement. I'm just kind of swirling them around. Like I said, I didn't want to cover up the black Cavier because I love that. I didn't really want to cover up the power wash, but I wanted just some extra definition in here with just a little bit of sparkle with this. So I'm just going to you can see I'm just kind of swirling it through the cup, and I just kind of play with it until I get it like I like it. And I do end up spreading it out a little bit more, just because I didn't want the white to be full coverage. I just kind of wanted to have a little sparkle in it. So here you can better see the effect that I was going for. I just wanted a little all over sparkle. And now, funny story, if you've already seen the final cup, you know I ended up not using this decal, but I was just going to leave this in here to show you because I originally thought about layering the red over the green. So this is how I did it. I did the same decal. I cut it out 2 different times, and then I just layered them on top of each other, but I ended up going with just the silver decal. But I left this one just in here just so you guys could see that this is how I would have done it. I felt like it kind of distracted from the cup, so I ended up with it going with just a silver and just weeded the decal out as normal. And you will see once I get it on the turner, I've definitely changed to a holographic silver vinyl, which to me was much prettier on the cup. And then I've just gone into Design Space in Cricut, and I've cut out a circle that is 2.84 inches wide That's kind of the size that I wanted, where it would cover up the bottom but not overlap on the side. So I'm just placing that on. So because I had added the holographic vinyl here, I am going to go in with a coat of Counterculture's Quick Coat. And it just takes a couple of drops to seal this holographic vinyl. And then I have the vinyl on the bottom. So I'm just going to do a quick coat with a couple of drops all over the cup. And then I'll let that dry for about 30 minutes. And I'm going to go into a coat of Counterculture's Artist Resin after I've let this dry. And I'm going to use about 30 milliliters on this coat, and then I'll let that dry for about 6 hours before I'm going to go ahead and place my drips on the cup. And here I'm just using my torch to pop any bubbles. I do use the Bernzomatic TS4000 as my torch, and it's in my Amazon's Favorite Things, which is linked in the description box below. And then I let that dry for about 6 hours, and then here I've mixed up 20 milliliters of Counterculture's Artist Resin, and I'm adding a thickening agent. So there's lots of variations of it. Counterculture has one. This is a DIY one that I just happen to have on hand. I had not gotten mine in from Counterculture yet, but so I just add a little bit on my stir stick, and then I'm going to add a little white from Counterculture. Is their dispersion color. So I just wanted a little bit of tint to it, and then I'm going to go in with the same micas that I use. I'm going to use Santa's Beard and Snow White from Woody's Goodies. I wanted a little bit of sheen to it, so I just add a little bit. I'm not adding very much here because I don't want a lot going into this epoxy. I just want enough to kind of tint it, thicken it up a little bit, and then kind of add this little sheen, metallic sheen to it. So you can kind of see the consistency of it, what it looks like right now. I'm just stirring that up real good to make sure it's good and stirred. And then I ended up letting that sit for about 3 hours, but I have to watch this. So I have a tendency where it can go hard on me really fast. So I tried to really watch it and stir it like every couple of minutes. So I was working on another cup. And then once it gets to about this consistency, and it was probably 3 hours plus a little bit, that I ended up stirring it until I got it like I wanted it to. And I just kind of pulled it up on the side of the cup, and when it quits running down the side, that's when I know is where I like it. Because I didn't want these drips to run really far down the cup. So you can see it's pretty thick here, and it gets this stringy consistency. So I try to get all those little strings off and then just apply it to the top of the cup. I did go ahead and clean out the inside of this cup also, just so I didn't have to deal with that after I got my drips on. But you can kind of see I don't want it to be just a solid line around the side, so I try to make, you know, put places where there's more of the epoxy on there than other places. And I'm just going to work my way all around until I've got pretty good coverage on the top. And I do try to make sure that there's a good amount right on the rim of the cup, because that is where it will pull from. And then you'll, you know, you'll kind of have an open space right there where you can tell it's pulling away from the top of the cup. So I do go back in a lot of times, and you can see I'm kind of going back and covering the top just to make sure that when it starts running down that I do have that top edge covered a little bit. And then once I get that pretty much like I wanted, I just left it sitting there for a few minutes. It probably was like 10 or 15 minutes. I wanted to make sure that my drips were pretty stable where I wanted them to. It actually didn't take that long, but I did make sure that it was pretty stable at that point before I start adding my little sprinkles in. And then there's no really rhyme or reason to how I add them. I just kind of space them out on there until I think it looks okay. And these cute little sprinkles are from the Sugar Pop Supply Company in Etsy. So I will link them in the description box below. I've gotten so many sprinkles from them. They're so cute. I have so many sprinkles that I want to use that I never end up using. And after I did this, I made a point that I was like, okay, I'm going to start using these sprinkles and doing more drip cups because they're always so cute. And then I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then I'm going to take my craft knife and I'm just going to trim off the top rim here. So you can see there's a little bit that's gotten inside the cup, and I'm just taking a really sharp craft knife and I'm just trimming off the excess. And then that's pretty much it. We've got a cup. I did not go back over this one. So I have done them in the past where I had sprinkles, and I did go back with another coat of epoxy to make sure the sprinkles don't come off, but I'd pressed these in pretty good where I didn't think I needed to. So here we've got the final design. I am just in love with this. It made me think of summer. It made me want to get out this weekend for Memorial Day and stick a White Claw in there and enjoy my little sweet summertime. So I hope y'all like the design. Please ask any questions. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that fun, crazy stuff. I sure appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see y'all again soon.